Hi all, welcome back to Tarot in the Round. I'm Michael. You remember my co-host, Reggie Rock with a Handbag. Um, yeah, those are the only two things that are really the same right now. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I finally figured out how to fold the hankies! And also I'm in a new apartment. Yes, we signed a lease last week, and the unpacking is still happening, but study space is more or less there, which is good because uh, this is the week that I've got some swords happening and some pentacles. Now, over the last 5 videos, I've looked at the pure forms of the court cards, and I've looked a little at how adjacent elements interact with each other. But starting with this and next week, it'll be the elements of opposition that get to have a little bit of play with each other. So, because I started in Pentacles and worked my way around to Cups, we've landed back on Pentacles, so now I'm just going to jump up and see how Earth and Wind interact. Now, with these, I have to dive a bit into the sort of Zen Taoist Buddhism a la Alan Watts. Because there's an idea there which it sort of presents the self as not really being part of the self. In that the mind and the brain are different things. There's this physical body that we inhabit, and then there is a necessary essence behind that body, which is the nature of the self. And so when I look at the Page of Pentacles and the King of Swords, I look at it as how the innate self interacts with the physical form. It's a little bit nature versus nurture, but not in a competition, in a collaboration. So, starting in Earth, with the King of Swords and the Page of Pentacles, it's starting in the body, the facts of existence, the passive existence, either promoting or inhibiting one's deliberate abstraction. It's how circumstance informs perception. Now, with an upright King of Swords, it is still primarily a swords card. So it's primarily that deliberate abstraction, that ideas, words, realm of existence. But it is the passive existence of one's deliberate abstraction. And as an upright, it gives me an impression of analyzing one's circumstances not the same way that a Page of Swords would analyze one's thinking. It's It's literally more grounded. It's balancing your checkbook. For those of you old enough to remember what a checkbook is, or American enough. Australians really don't use checkbooks. I'm glad, but I'm just surprised. That is one's passive existence informing one's deliberate abstraction. But when it's trying to go in the opposite direction and can't, it's a reversed page of pentacles. It's attempting to make sense and not quite getting the idea where it needs to be. In a way, it's like a parent and child. As a Page of Pentacles goes through the world, that thinking, that abstraction is limited by the lack of experience, by the nature of it being such a young being. A more mature earth influence is more grounded and more solidly present. So in a way, it's the difference between that essential self making sense of its existence and trying to force its existence to suit its preconceived notions. Really need to make a mark where the glare is least obstructive. But then there's the opposite, which is I suppose the existence, the physical realm being at the fore. And whereas an upright King of Swords is grounding and thoroughly analyzing their circumstances, an upright Page of Pentacles is imagining what can be. Because if it is a parent-child dynamic between these two, then remembering when we're young, more of our future is ahead of us than we have history. The spirit has less experience in this world, and as a consequence, it has to fill its time with creativity and imagination. It is still looking, but it's looking from the perspective of the grounded body at what can be. A reversed King of Swords sort of carries this same energy, but it's carried it far too long. And as a result, it's looking at its circumstances and it wonders where they went. This I sort of read as the midlife crisis situation, where one reaches a point in their life and the regrets start to sink in. It's no longer what can be, it's what could have been. If anything, it's not necessarily a literal parent and child. It's parenting one's inner child. Because when we're young, we have these ideas of what can be. And we who are years old have to rethink those ideas. Pages and Swords are at their best when the ideas are flexible. It's that neuroplasticity situation, allowing yourself to learn how to learn, which, for anyone who was a gifted child in the late 90s and early 2000s, how you doing? Take any ADHD self-diagnoses yet? Highly recommend it. Real eye-opener, those. So part of the delay in this entry is the fact that my circumstances changed quite suddenly. And while that can be good, I've found it difficult to really get back into the rhythms that I had in the lead up to this moment. And in a lot of ways that's been good, because I've been able to forge new routines. I'm currently very much in an upright Page of Pentacles moment right now, where if I'm willing to relearn, then I'm able to create a new outlook on my future. I am also in a very reversed King of Swords moment in my life right now. Because if I allow myself to overthink what once was, I run the risk of getting stuck in old routines that no longer suit. The only video that's been harder to make than this one is the first one. If anything, this one's harder because there's a difference in my head between having never done something and having to return to something. I need to listen to my inner Page in this moment and allow them to look at possibility. So, barring any new lease signings in the near future, God, I hope not, next week I will be interrogating the relationship between wands and cups and how action and reaction, I suppose, can coexist.